following program may contain coarse language, suggestive dialogue, and discussion of violent imagery and sexual situations. It is intended for mature listeners who can tell the difference between facts and opinions.
No man left behind on this episode of the Toonami Faithful podcast. I am your host, Sketch, and with me I have...
Paul Pascrillo, the founder of ToonamiFaithful.com.
And...
Your friendly co-host, Kuro.
And...
Social media superstar, Stephen.
And a special guest.
Hi, I'm Sam. I write for Toonami Squad.
Sam 1 or
Sam.
Yes.
He's Sam 1.
Don't make me
He
laugh,
is
I'll
the
cough.
one referred to as Sam 1. You'll have to forgive Kuro. She's under the weather, but she's being a real trooper.
Woo.
As long as she's not a Star Trooper or whatever it is. I don't know where I was going with that.
What? Yeah, where were you going with that, Paul?
Starship Trooper. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
What?
Okay.
You-
Okay. All right, let's just let that go and move on.
I mean, you
Short
are
for
fighting a bug.
Stormtrooper.
You
I
are
am.
fighting a bug, so
Oh, yeah, I see the connection there.
there you go. See?
Okay.
When we
Well,
gonna
it's not
put
alive
Terraform Mars on Toonami? No, please don't. But it is a Viz license.
Speaking of Viz license,
There's no way they could play that. I'm like, yes, speaking of Viz licenses, this is hopefully Toonami related in the future, and that is we finally have a premiere date for One Punch Man Season 3, and Viz has acquired the license already, which bodes well for it eventually airing on Toonami, but is anything but a guarantee.
Mm.
No.
'Cause,
not
you
when
know.
Netflix can throw money at everything.
Well, I mean, that show's probably going to go to Hulu first, and then
Yeah,
probably
Hulu.
yeah. But that's been the case for all of them. The first
Mhm.
season aired on Hulu, which I think it also aired on another streamer that wasn't Crunchyroll.
Daisuke!
Yeah, that was the name of
That's
that
how
thing.
I watched it.
Um,
And Gundam Iron Blood Orphans.
but it was also season 2 was exclusive to Hulu, so I just expect season 3 also Hulu exclusive. But I think the dub may be a premiere for Toonami.
It's possible. There is the slightest chance they have first right to refusal and also the money required to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, One Punch Man
That's
season
true.
2 did well for them, so I'm like, well, sure, why not?
So
Yeah.
well, they only ran a marathon and then never played it again.
I mean, Sketch, you did bring up the point on social media the other day that maybe, and keyword, maybe, Adult Swim is, or should I say Warner Brothers Discovery is a little bit more lax on the streaming part of things. So,
Oh, perhaps, because I'm pretty sure there still isn't a way to watch Bleach on Adult Swim's app or website.
No.
Nope.
let me look that up while we're doing this.
It's not. I checked.
Oh, did
Yeah.
you? Okay.
That might have been a
so-
concession with Viz and Disney over airing Bleach.
Or
I
maybe
do-
they traded it for the new series of Gumball.
Oh,
Maybe.
jeez. Oh, that might be.
I don't
It
think
does-
that's
so-
actually a correlation, but
Yeah,
would
no.
it be funny if it was?
It would be.
I'd,
It would be.
I'd sooner say Family Guy is more of a trade there, but
Did anybody else kind of notice that? I mean, obviously, Adult Swim shows have been on Hulu before. That's not anything new. But have we been noticing that there's starting to be some kind of synergy there a little bit more than usual?
they're putting a lot of Cartoon Network stuff on there.
Yeah.
I fully expect the regular show reboot / spinoff will also be on there. Adventure Time could still go either way because Max has always been big on Adventure Time. So I don't know. We don't have
I'm
to get
starting to wonder-
get into this, but it is just weird that a Cartoon Network original series will premiere on Hulu in the US. It might still air. It better still air, because if it doesn't, what are you doing? That is a show that is on for like 3 hours a day, every day on Cartoon Network's minimal amount of hours that they air. How can they not play the new episodes?
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, I hate to bring this up, but it maybe, because obviously there is the bundle. I mean, I have the bundle of Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max. I'm wondering if there's more to that. Like, maybe like a synergy. Maybe they're just now starting to even work together
Maybe.
on shows. Because, I mean, me,
Nah, I think
Cartoon
it comes
Network,
down to these are
Money.
kids shows. Kids shows
True.
do better on Hulu. That's
Yeah,
it.
True.
that too.
Kids aren't watching Max. More kids are watching Discovery, though I think that has more to do with their parents having Discovery and not having Max.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I don't think a
But
kid would choose to stream Discovery Plus.
but there's there's always those rumors of Disney's gonna buy this streamer, or Disney's gonna buy this streamer, or Netflix is gonna try to buy somebody or whatever. So
I don't know. Things are weird. It sounds like South Park's going to stay on Max despite it going back to Paramount. So things are weird.
Very weird.
But still,
and it makes me
it's extremely weird for a Cartoon Network original to go to Hulu first.
Very
It makes
weird
me
times we
wonder
live in
if-
these days.
yeah, it makes me wonder if like the sub of Bleach is gonna end up on another stream or two now that maybe some kind of rights have expired to it.
I don't
Obviously,
I don't think that's gonna happen.
hmm,
think so. It could go to Netflix. I won't entirely rule that out. Netflix certainly has the money. I don't think it's coming
Yes,
back
they
to
do.
Crunchyroll. I don't think it's coming back back to Crunchyroll out of
No.
spite.
No, it's never going to
No.
Crunchyroll.
No, I don't see Bleach going to Crunchyroll. I mean, I'm thinking more or less along the lines of, the rights have opened up. If somebody wants to sub, they could probably do it. But there again, based on that
Maybe
study the
Netflix.
other day, everybody likes dubs apparently. So
Yeah.
Well,
People don't
That's-
like to read. Oh wow, what a revelation.
that study is pretty biased because it is specifically Crunchyroll subscribers.
Hmm.
But anyway,
I
I
mean,
thought more anime fans pirated. Turns out, no, that's not
No.
the case. Not anymore.
I mean, Crunchyroll subscribers can't be all that bad if they made Ninja Kamui. Best
oh
original anime
yes,
for the
we
year.
should
Hmm.
mention that.
See, segue. See, I know how to do this stuff.
The Crunchyroll
Yeah.
Awards came and gone early in the morning on Sunday, and Ninja Kamui won for Best Original Anime of the Year. I call foul. There were definitely better shows in that selection, but Ninja Kamui was easily the best known.
It was the most known, probably because of how it ended and how it kind of fell off in the back half.
Girls
So-
Band
I
Cry got
disagree
robbed.
vehemently, but it's
Well,
viewer
Kuro's
voted,
happy.
isn't it? Yeah, I mean it's viewer
is.
voted, so
It is.
so that's a really good thing. If viewers themselves are saying for this quote awards, that these awards that they think that this was the best new show, then that's pretty significant. For whatever it's worth, it had a big impact, and I think
Yeah.
we should be happy about it. I mean, considering it is viewer voted, it's all very subjective to begin with. But
Mhm.
as far as popularity contests go, it's great that a Toonami show won one. That's pretty big.
Yes.
Should take that
Definitely.
victory.
I mean, it's a big enough deal that Crunchyroll even nominated it for their awards.
Yeah.
I don't think they
Well,
could
The
you
avoid
rest
it.
was just soul leveling. It was the soul leveling award show.
The solo leveling awards, yes. I'm not going to
mean, I
say they weren't
understand.
all deserved, but
I understand that Max probably doesn't want to.
Andadon was
name drop.
robbed. I'm mad.
that's true. Don Don should have at least won some of those.
I mean, I know Max probably doesn't want to name drop Crunchyroll, but they should very much. They should put that Ninja Kamui is the best original series for 2025. So I mean,
They
Because
didn't
I don't know why they
advertise
don't
it
do
during
that.
and why would they advertise it now?
True,
you know, it's
true.
it doesn't hurt. Except,
one
you
thing,
know, they're not even bothering with a home video release, and what's up with that?
They
yeah,
did
that
it for
is
Rick and
weird.
Morty the anime, but they're not doing it for Uzumaki or Housing Complex
I think
C
it's
or
up to
Ninja
Viz
Kamui.
for Uzumaki. But
That's true.
yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
to what Kuro was
Seems
saying,
to be
like,
doing well on digital still.
They didn't even release
Yeah.
Fully Cooley Grunge or Shoegaze on Blu-ray yet.
Nope.
yeah.
Mm-mm. Oh well,
Well,
you know, Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't believe in physical media.
Oh,
mm,
Jesus Christ. God forbid you print a disc and sell it to people.
I know. But yeah,
but
you know, we all have our varying opinions on Ninja Kamui, but it was anything but a failure. It was
absolutely not.
successful.
Yep.
Yep. It was always in the top 10 on Max.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say to what
By like
Kuro
the
was
end
saying.
of by the end of its run, it dropped off the top 10, but it was still fairly popular throughout its run.
Yeah, I think it was in the top 5 most of the. So it would drop on Sunday on Max, and for
Yeah.
at least a couple days, it was in the top 5.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It
was
would stay
doing
in that top
something.
5 for like that entire week too. And then when a
Sometimes,
new
yeah.
episode, sometimes they would even drop to like number 8, but it would go back up to 5. So it was successful. It did well on that service.
By the way, I feel bad for Lazarus because
Yeah, that show.
with Last of Us playing right now, it was. I think it's kind of hurt it to be in the top 5,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it
has
has
gone
been in the top
into
10.
Yeah, it has gone into the top 10, but then I've noticed that it also immediately drops out of the top 10 and then goes back in when a new episode drops in. That's pretty concerning overall because normally these shows tend to stick around for a while. Uzumaki stayed in like the top 10 for almost all 4 weeks. So
yeah, timing is everything with these things. Honestly, they
That's true.
probably should have, since we know that Lazarus is even its dub was done way before it actually aired. They should have been rolling this out like in February.
yeah. I get that they probably wanted Common Side Effects to have its moment, but it doesn't hurt to have the show airing at the same time.
Nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
exactly.
Just would have been a way easier time for it to get traction on Max, in my opinion. But
Yeah, for sure.
whatever. I'm sure that next year Lazarus will be among the nominees for the Crunchyroll Awards.
And I hope it wins.
It's almost inevitable. And yeah, it probably will win.
Mhm.
And hey,
I mean, I
that's
do
that's
think
something.
it's.
Just imagine if DeMarco was still on social media. You know he'd be glazing this.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
for
he
sure.
And by the way, I mean, it even though it doesn't show up in the top 10 as much, I still think Lazarus is doing well because
Sure.
we see
Yeah.
it. We see it on the Apple side of it at least, and that's what Ninja Kamui was doing basically. So I mean,
Look, I know
For even
that
like Adult Swim, I think they are happy with how it's performing.
yes,
I know that television ratings are like whatever, but Toonami had their best night in so long where
Yes.
4 premieres were above 200,000 viewers.
Mm,
That's massive retention.
yes, and that's a good
Like,
sign.
was it, like a few months ago, it was like
Oh,
barely
I
cracking
said
over
4.
100.
I meant 5. Even both episodes of One Piece.
Yeah, because like a few months ago when they were like doing reruns, it basically dropped off a cliff for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes
Like we
to show
haven't
you
had
that.
data in a long time, but we finally got some, and whoop, baby.
Yeah, it goes to show you that Bleach being back on the block definitely helped, and
Yes.
you know,
yes.
if
Certainly
other
got
certain
people's
shows,
eyeballs.
if other certain shows do show up, that'll probably help as well.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
No.
Well, speaking of shows, we definitely should get rolling on these recaps. So, it's time to kick it over to Kuro to talk about Lazarus episode 8.
Well, we we left off with a small cliffhanger. Small, but it turned out to be a big cliffhanger because Christine, right before she is called the name Alexandra by a blonde woman with short hair, now she awakens on board a ship somewhere in the Arctic. Ruh-roh. I have to say, I rewatched the previous episode before I get well and truly into this recap, and I thought that the scenes, I paid more attention this time, not just to the plot but to the visuals, and the scenes of them exploring the underwater cities were really stunning. I just really wanted to bring that up because I appreciated that. It gave me heavy Horizon vibes. Everybody play that game; it's great.
The scenery was indeed gorgeous.
It was gorgeous. Back at HQ, the crew knows Chris is missing, but before they can get a chance to deal with that, the beans are spilled about Hirsch having been Dr. Skinner's colleague. And she tells them that Skinner had left before Hopna was finished, which it seemed like a passing comment, but felt very significant to me. And by the time they realized everything had gone wrong, they didn't understand the molecular makeup of the drug. So she left, Hirsch left, and now heads a special task force under the NSA. And we knew there was a government connection, so now it's confirmed and the cat's out of the bag. But as Leland points out, what about Chris? Well, Chris is tied up and a man has entered the room and starts smacking her around. And we're introduced to Sergey, our our thug of the week, I guess, which is pretty much his role throughout this entire episode. And we see the woman from the previous episode and learn her name is Inga, and she expresses a desire to kill this woman, Alexandra. The team realize that Christine's GPS signal shows that she's been captured by Russian agents. And Hirsch then reveals the full truth about her, that she was a defector and she had surgery to reconstruct her face, and also that her band is set to self-destruct within 3 days if she doesn't return to base. So she's pretty much ready to give up on Christine, aka Alexandra. Meanwhile, Inga states that she thought this woman, Alexandra, had died in a previous incident, but realized when her body was never found, she must be alive, indicating some history between them. Axel tells the team that they need to bring her back, and he's resolved to rescue her. And before Hirsch can object, they all pretty much agree and just leave. And I love this moment of team, the resolution between all of them. They all are on the same side. The loyalty to each other. It's a great moment for our team Lazarus here. Meanwhile, Christine, we have a lot of back and forth here, she reveals to her kidnappers that they don't know where Skinner is because she's assuming their priority is looking for Skinner like hers. But it doesn't seem to be the case. They just seem to want Christine. And she just gets continuously beaten by Sergey. Gratuitously, in fact. It seems to have no purpose. Just a beating. While Hirsch is contemplating and Kitty, who is now fully infiltrated the camp, is walking around. Our fat kitty. We need to get that kitty a name. The team is heading to Norway to rescue Christine with time counting down, and they only have about 1 day left. They get a call from Hirsch, who decides to step up and give them access to transportation. And states that it is outside of protocol, but she's gonna help her anyway. Help the team anyway, which is nice. And meanwhile, Christine's still being tortured by Sergey. Why? We don't know. He just seems to be a big asshole bully. The team gets close enough to the oil rig to begin their infiltration. With Elena a little bit of ways away, they need to move Leland in to use his drone to help get her access to the rig so she can do her hacking magic. Axel, meanwhile, dives under the rig to do more physical infiltration, and Doug takes possession of a boat to help with distractions. as Sergei is about to use a large knife to do something very nasty, they get a call saying that they spotted something, the agents. Elena is able to hack the oil rig, and she causes the tanker nearby to crash into it. At that point, Chris uses the opportunity to get free from her bonds by attacking Sergei and using some rebound movements, and loosens her bonds and knocks him out, getting free. Good for her. He deserves it, and much worse. Elena then guides Axel to Chris using her hacked surveillance. And Inga at that point has realized that the tanker, which is now setting fire to the oil rig, was actually a decoy, and sends them out to search the ship. The rest of the Lazarus team managed to keep the Russians busy while Axel works his way closer to Elena. Sergei comes to, and seeing Axel, manages to get the slip on him. Ooh, that was painful to watch, that bar to the face. But while he's at a standoff between two of these agents, Leland's drones manage to give him the opportunity to reverse the situation. Unfortunately, Leland also then loses his own hiding spot, and Doug has to go and rescue him. Meanwhile, the oil rig fire is spreading, which, I don't know if you know this, but with heavy machinery and oil, this is very, very dangerous. Potentially explosive. Axel catches up to Christine and reassures her that even though she tells them to leave her, he reassures her that they don't care about her past. A very touching moment, and rushes off to deal with more agents. At that point, Inga steps out, puts a gun to her face, and there's an emotional dialogue between them, revealing that they were once lovers, and that Alexandra had always wanted to leave, but didn't want to do so in a way that held Inga responsible as her handler. So when the opportunity presented itself to escape, she took it, thus faking her own death. Sergei then sees them having a tender moment and steps out angrily, ranting about traitors deserving to die. He shoots, and I guess it looked like he was trying to shoot... I don't know who he was trying to shoot, because it looks like when he shoots Inga, it wasn't on purpose, which is kind of amazing because he was standing right in front of her. I don't know how you can get that wrong, but okay. I guess he's a bad shot as well as stupid and a brute. And it's a fatal shot. Rig, in the meantime, is about to explode, holding Inga tenderly. Christine and her have a one last moment, and she says to her that she just wants her to be free to live her life, and glad she got to see her one last time before she dies. And Christine,
It was like a very beautiful moment in the show.
It is. It's very touching. And it's very sad too. Very agonizing cry from Christine. Me at the end there. And then just before the rig explodes, Axel grabs her and pulls her into the water. And they dive deep, obviously, so they can avoid the explosion. And use, in a pretty badass move, they use an oxygen tank to push them back up out of the water, where they're able to float over where Leland and Doug are waiting on the boat, who report they're safe, and everybody cheers as they return to base with 12 days remaining. Yeah, it was a very, very busy episode, emotionally wrought. Let's start with you, Steven. What did you think?
It was a fun episode. I would say it's not connected to the overarching plot unless something is going on there with Hirsch. There probably is something going on there, but that they're not saying. But it doesn't feel like it's connected to anything, just to understand Christine more. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was a beautiful thing. They would you say they wasted time on doing that instead of finding
felt
the
like
cure.
I felt like this was important for the team's morale and in general. I think ultimately, they alluded to it when the world is ending. Your priorities are your priorities. There's only so much you can do. So
Hmm. Otherwise, I mean, it is a beautiful. I would, if you would like, the last episode was about the world and how it changed due to climate change. This is, you could say, the antithesis of it, of going back to this old world and like seeing the dirtiness, the griminess of it. And it's like,
the ruins.
yeah. And you could see, maybe I'm just seeing it, that there might be a parallel to it. Maybe there isn't anything, but you can see that it's trying to do something else. And out of all those episodes, I would say the last one and this one are solid enough to, I don't know. To me, they're solid, and they're up there as like ranking, if you would rank it as the top episodes of this, show as of now.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I felt like the last two episodes were the best so far. Sam, what were your thoughts about this last episode?
It's interesting because I've looked at reactions online, and it seems to be that this episode is very mixed. I really personally like this episode because one of the complaints that I and many people had is that we don't get a whole lot of information about Team Lazarus or these characters or who they are. So it's nice to finally start getting backstories instead of just small little snippets of their past, right? So that Elena episode, I didn't really connect with it because it had nothing interesting to say about its topic of what it wanted to say. But this one definitely had much more of a concise and clear message of Christine's past and who she was, and Axel at the end basically saying, "I don't care about who you were. I'm caring about the person who you are now." And that's a really powerful line in that episode. It's just kind of cementing these characters more, and I get to know them now instead of just being like, oh, we have like hints of who they are. But this one truly does feel like it stands above all the other ones for me, anyway.
Yeah. Paul, what did you think about this latest episode of Lazarus?
I'll agree with Sam. It is important for these characters to get some backstory because only so far we've really just gotten the main character of Lazarus' backstory. We really haven't gotten anybody else's, so it's nice to get that plus some of the other characters. What was it? Episode 6. We got some backstory as well. Um, so I mean, it doesn't take away from it. I actually think it strengthens the show. I do want to know why they kidnapped her. I mean, she's supposedly a traitor, but it's like, okay, you weren't out there for no reason. So why were you out there? Because that's not really explained. It wasn't really explained in episode 7. It
Yeah.
still wasn't really explained in this episode why the Russians were out there.
Yeah.
But
That's also like a little complaint I do have, is that I do think that maybe 13 episodes is not enough to kind of tell what Watanabe is trying to go for. But then
No,
again,
I would agree.
we haven't seen the whole show, so maybe it does come together in the end. But maybe it's one of those things where Adult Swim kind of should have negotiated for like longer, like a 2 core series instead of just a 13 episode anime.
let,
Yeah.
let me say this though. I don't think we're on episode 8 now. Episode 9's this weekend coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the anime that Adult Swim has done, original anime that they've done so far, maybe I'm wrong about this, but this just feels the most complete so far. Like, and let me knock on some wood before some mechanical thing shows up. But you know, I'm pleasantly surprised with this series, and the fact that when they were and I'm trying to think. I think it was at San Diego Comic-Con when they were talking about this. And correct me if I'm wrong, please. They were saying that they wanted multiple seasons of this.
They did say that.
So I'm starting to see that maybe they're more confident in this, and I'm more confident in it, to be honest with you. My opinion probably doesn't even count. But honestly, it feels like just a better series overall. And I don't think we've had that in a long time. So it's a breath of fresh air to have an original show that does this. It's not the Housing Complex C where you're like, oh, this isn't good, this isn't good. Wait a minute. That had a really good ending. What the fuck? So it's not one of those. So that was like the other side of the spectrum where you got a show that actually turned out to be good when it seemed like it wasn't. And then you got these other shows in the middle, and then you got this. And this is what I think everybody's been looking for. This is what, oh God, the name is going, the name, we talk about this show all the time. That Adult Swim could have done something more with, and then it ended up just being one season.
Shenmue.
There's a lot of
Sketch News.
those. There's a lot of
Not well,
those.
Shenmue was Fena. I wasn't thinking Shenmue, but Shenmue was actually just like this. I think Shenmue was going in more the direction of Lazarus. I think it was a more complete show too. Had they not sold off Crunchyroll, I think they
It
would
had
have
a
actually.
roadmap.
Yeah, it was. Man, I wish they would have done another season of that. Let's not get into that though.
Everybody does.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that Fena was a perfect example of a show that they could have done something so much better, and then it just at the end, and you're just like, really? Like this, the promos, everything looked, it made it look so like inviting, and then it just
It
didn't.
reminds me of it reminds me a bit of like how they handled Uzumaki too. It's just like, oh my god, that first episode so goddamn promising, and then god damn it. I mean, I liked it, but still.
I think Uzumaki was not to use this word, but I guess it fits, cursed from the beginning. So, but you know, this show, this show is great, and I don't have any complaints about it so far, none whatsoever.
I will say, like, just judging by the opinions online, and obviously opinions are always going to be opinions, but I always find like it's interesting how Lazarus has been kind of received overall, and it seems like either you vibe with it or you don't really vibe with it, and I really do vibe with the show. I think that the show, what it's doing and what it's trying to go for, I think is very interesting. Now, whether or not it pulls it all off in the end, we'll see. But
you know what show you're talking about, Sam? Cowboy Bebop. It's the exact same thing. You either vibe with it or you don't.
Who doesn't
and this
vibe
is
with Cowboy Bebop besides Laser?
And me.
but one last thing, and then we'll move on to the next person. I kind of want to, because this episode, yes, it gave a lot of, backstory on her, but I'm still wondering if in episode 7 they found something that they're not concentrating on, and this is, okay, yes, we're talking about this, but are we going to get back to what you found in episode 7? You found a clue. You found a clue. Like, you got people that aren't going to die, that didn't take the medicine. So, and it could have been the cornerstone of this medicine. So I'm hoping that getting into episode 9, we get to see some of that, or we go back to that, because I think they're onto something there.
Paul, they found a clue in the second episode or the first episode where they went to his house and they found a pill. Okay, I mean, not
that may not be a clue that we don't know. It could be a red herring.
But they haven't even acknowledged it since then.
That's true. Now we did point out when they went to his, was that his grandmother's house?
The flower.
The flower. So that was definitely a clue because you don't focus in on that if it doesn't mean anything. So
It's a clue or another red herring.
and it just feels like there's clues in these episodes and all of it's going to eventually come together. So
Boy, I hope so.
Yeah.
yeah, same here.
I have to say this was really bothering me, and I don't know if you picked up on this sketch, but like right at the get-go when they're having that conversation with Hirsch, she says something that I feel like that was important. She said that Skinner left before the medication was complete.
That does seem important.
That seemed to
Yeah.
me like a kind of a major deal that she said, obviously, and then also about them not understanding the molecular makeup of the drug. So they completed the drug without truly understanding it. Like maybe Skinner is not as responsible as people are saying he is for this. If he left before it was finished, he must have felt frustrated. He must have been upset to just give up on a project like that, something so important. He must have had cause. So I feel like there's a lot more story to that, right? What do you
Remember in
think, Sketch?
prior weeks,
Yes.
we've had Steven bringing this up. Maybe Skinner's being framed, and you know what? Who's to say that video message wasn't a deep fake? They've
I've
already
never
talked
been
about
like-
AI.
I've never thought he was an evil guy. I mean, even when he was, out to destroy everybody for overtaking their medication, I was like, kind of get it. So
Well,
Yes, but I mean that's another moral gray area.
Yeah,
What we're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
is whether or not he has maliciously done this or not.
he doesn't, but that seems to be pretty much his character consistently. Every time he's talked about, has been stated that he is not malicious. That
Mhm.
he's giving and kind and in general, a good person. So it does seem out of character for him to
It does.
deliberately be a murderer.
So the question is he taking credit for something he didn't actually do, or is that just a deep fake? And either is equally plausible.
I think it's a lot more complicated than people realize, and instead of focusing on putting together like how did we get here, they're hyper focused on finding Skinner, which is fine,
They
but I
should
feel
be
like
looking into everybody else involved.
I feel like there's a lot of
Well-
blame to go around. Yeah.
now that you're bringing this up, it's interesting that they, although those followers going around the AI in episode 6, it makes me now think that you guys are mentioning this, that if it is a deep fake to you, Sketch, is maybe Skinner dead and maybe that was like him
Oh.
experimenting with AI to see if somehow he could transfer himself into an AI.
Okay, no. He had nothing to do with that. That was
Well, the
made
official
clear.
story is that he was not involved in Naga's
Yeah.
development. They just
Yeah.
So
scanned
wasn't
his
he-
brain.
But
No,
wasn't
he-
Naga?
It's an interesting thing to note that that's at least 2 projects he was involved with where
Yeah.
he wasn't there for the final stages. What's up with that?
Really weird. That is very weird.
Yeah, so like
It's
I
just-
said, these are other people doing these things, not him, and he sees people abusing what gift he's bringing to the table, and he just backs out of it. He's like, I'm done with this. I don't want to be a part of this. This goes against my
the
values.
more I think, to your guys' point, the more that we uncover, the more that we peel back the curtain, so to speak, we see more good than bad. So it's like, what is really going on here? Because again, episode 7, I'll bring this up. He bought all those people's property
Mm-hmm.
so that they could move because the island was sinking. Oh, and by the way, they never took the drug because they already have something like the drug inside their systems as a abnormality. So it's like again, it's like all these clues. You're like, wait a minute, which clue should we focus on? Should we not focus on this? Should we not focus on that? Did did they use their blood for the drug? Like, it's like, oh my God, what's going on here? So, yeah, it's interesting. And I think honestly, when they came up with this show, they wanted us to think about it. And that right there tells you how good this show is because we're actually thinking and discussing it like this.
Mhm.
Yes, we're actually discussing the finer points of a show instead of just, tearing it down. Now, in my
Instead of
opinion,
being like,
so far this show has passed the Ninja Kamui test. It hasn't passed the Fena test.
I was gonna say, at least we haven't had any mech suits yet, okay?
There's been
Yet.
no mech
Yet.
suits.
Yet.
But are we gonna get to some psychological BS at the end? We'll see.
Mm.
We'll see. I don't think that's actually gonna happen. Though I don't know how they're gonna wrap up this storyline in 5 episodes. There's just not a lot of time left, but we'll see. That said, I think this was a very good episode. I think it was a necessary episode. Maybe we could have shaved off something a little before now. Who could say? But very good character-focused episode. Really showed the team coming together, bonding, even going against Hirsch when they thought she wasn't going to help them. That's all good stuff. Plus, we get some very necessary backstory so we can flesh out these characters. And
Agreed.
also, it was really nicely animated. We had the episode 4 animation on this episode. So when Chris kicked off the wall, that she was in
that
the
was
chair.
such a great scene.
So good. So good.
The explosions were also really well done. The choreography and the fight sequences are awesome. They're great.
Absolutely.
And everybody had their part playing in the plan. Good
because
stuff.
Unlike episode 6, it's like Team Lazarus didn't really do much of anything. It was just Leyland and Elena, and then the rest of them were in a hotel. At least they had something to do this entire episode.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I do have one major complaint about this episode. I don't like one-dimensional villain characters, and I think Sergei was that character. He was completely unnecessary. I think that it didn't contribute anything. It was irritating. He just played this weird bully, and he seemed to his whole character arc was he takes pleasure in beating up a tied-up woman and going after her, shouting, "Cheaters are bad, grr!" There was nothing about him that was adding to the overall story structure. And even with him shooting Inge at the end, that could have been any other soldier. I think they would have been better if they had removed him entirely and focused more on the Inga Christine dynamic. Given her
I
more
use that
more
time
screen
for anything important.
anything else.
I would probably say I don't mind this character in concept, but either he has to be super evil or be like Saturday morning cartoon evil, right?
No. I disagree vehemently. I think I would have eliminated him entirely and focused more on a different character like Inga.
But then Chris couldn't have kicked off the wall and done the chair thing. It would have been.
I mean, that's cool, but she could have done that to any soldier guarding her. It could have. I think that could have been incorporated because they never explained why they were holding her. Just that she's a traitor because Inga never revealed that she'd found her. So Christine's assumption at first she was like, "Oh, you want information from me? Well, I don't have any to give you," and then that's it. They didn't care. They didn't seem interested. They didn't seem to have any mission of their own. It was just all very shallow. The whole purpose of this episode was about giving Christine a place to be rescued from. Then they could have taken that screen time away from this gratuitous character and put it into that. Beef up that plot point a little bit, because that plot point felt very thin to me and it bothered me. And honestly, it's funny because Umeko as well, who writes our recaps, it bothered her too. She pointed it out. She and I are in agreement about that, and you can read her recap on the website for anyone who's interested. But yeah, that it felt gratuitous. It didn't contribute anything, and instead they could have strengthened what they were doing there. What was the purpose of this kidnapping?
This show could have done with at least one less bad man is bad because.
Yeah.
Because there have been a few. It's getting tiresome.
Yeah. And I'm already depressed about life. I don't need to have every show I watch have a depressing character to remind me how shitty people can
Yeah.
be.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case,
Mm.
it seemed to be overall good from everybody here. I think that it's a good time to move on to Bleach, since we're talking about depressing things.
Oh
Holy
boy.
holy shit.
Almost feels appropriate that this aired on Memorial Day weekend. Right. Bleach 1000-Year Blood War Episode 2 Foundation Stones. The gang is hanging out in Ichigo's room because, of course, waiting for him to return. And Yuki asks, "Hey, should we go after him?" And Uryu says, "Nah, don't worry about it." And then Orihime kind of chuckling points out, even though Uryu pretends that he doesn't care about Ichigo, the two of them have become good friends, and a flustered Uryu denies it. What a tsundere. I don't like Ichigo. I don't know what you're talking about. Ichigo returns just as Yuki's soul phone rings with a message for all Soul Reapers, and he puts it on speakerphone. Akon reports, 57 minutes ago, 7 unidentified intruders invaded Squad 1's office. 5 minutes later, they retreated. 1 squad member was killed by the head, but the head captain is safe. At roughly the same time, another intruder showed up at the Kokukuryo gate, where Squad 1 was standing guard. All 116 squad members were killed in approximately 3 minutes. Lieutenant Sasakabe was seriously wounded and died in the Squad 1 office shortly thereafter. It is believed that the intruders possess some sort of method of transportation that can bypass the soul shield membrane that surrounds the Serite. This is very, very bad. And then the show takes a moment to allow Ichigo, Orihime, Chad, and Uryu to quietly mourn and reflect, which I find interesting because the Soul Society previously tried to kill them. But water under the bridge, I guess. We'll have more of that soon. Ichigo doesn't want to just sit around and do nothing, so he decides to go out on patrol to get his mind off things when Nell crashes into him. Meanwhile, in the other place, you watch splatters, both Eburn and some other guy, his name probably doesn't matter. But their great leader was talking about how, oh, so you see yourself as a prophet? He's like, no, great leader, I don't see myself as a prophet. Okay, you're dead. Why? There is no job security in the Quincy Army. Jeez. Because you watch, even tells Eburn, you did nothing worthy of praise or punishment, so your job is done. And offs him. Right there. He says he'll become
He
the
cut
first.
his arm off first in a horrible moment of discomfort for me personally.
You're
Ugh.
thinking of the other guy.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I couldn't keep track since he clearly finds all of his people disposable.
Yes.
And their
exactly.
parts.
Yes. So yeah, he took the arm of the other guy who he was telling us, like, are you thinking yourself as a prophet? That guy.
Yeah.
His name I don't even remember, and probably it isn't important.
Yeah, well, he's dead now, so.
Yeah. So remember when Eburn was all like, how dare you call me an Arankar? Bro, you're an Arankar. But apparently you think you're better than Arankars because you joined His Majesty. Okay, drinking the Kool-Aid. A lot of good it did you. You dead now. As you become, as your watch puts it. Am I pronouncing that right? I'm going to keep messing that up, I'm sure.
Fine. Until someone corrects you, keep going.
He mentions, and this ties back to the episode title, he will become the first foundation stone on the bridge to peace. Okay, buddy. And then one of his other Quincy guys is like, was it wise to destroy an Arankar? They're considered valuable assets because they don't require any combat training. And he says, well, we can just get another Arankar. And he does so while removing a curtain to show that Holybell is chained up showing yes, he can get another Arrancar. He has the most powerful Arrancar around. Yikes. And he also declares that Huecamundo belongs to him now. Yet another one of the many foundation stones building towards the invasion of Soul Society. Back in the living world, Nell cries out to Ichigo that Huecamundo is under attack, just as Pesci comes crashing down as well. Complete tone change. A funeral is held for Lieutenant Sasakabe. Viking funeral style cremation. It's a nice scene. The group gather in Ichigo's room. Again, always in Ichigo's room. And Pesce explains the dire situation going on in Huecamundo. After the deaths of Barigan and Stark, Hollybell restored order and is acting as their leader. But a powerful unknown assailant defeated her. And Hollybell told Pesh, Nell, and Dondachaka to run away, but Dondachaka was captured. Pesh then humbly requests that Ichigo help him, and Ichigo's like, yeah, let's go. But Uryu opts out because, well, he's a Quincy, and he can't be seen helping Hollows or Arrancar. That's totally against his whole deal. But Ichigo explains he understands that he wouldn't take up the offer, but if he didn't at least ask, then Uryu would get all sulky. And Uryu tries to warn him to be careful of this enemy, but a certain shopkeeper interjects and offers transport. One of the Quincy informs you watch that the medallion that they gave Ebern had been used, however, and he gets cut off. Probably going to tell him, it didn't work. This show does a lot of that, like, somebody's saying something and it gets cut off. Luckily, the audience can usually figure it out. There was even when the head captain tells them to light the flames, it kicks over to Ichigo's sister's cooking in the kitchen. That's just amusing. Now Ichigo asks Kyusuke how he just happened to be around at the right time, and Kyusuke jokes he's always hanging around just outside Ichigo's bedroom window, listening for something interesting. But truly, it was not hard to notice two Arrancar crashing in, not to mention Ichigo's recent fight and what's been going on in the Soul Society, and he surmises that all these things are probably connected. And he'd be right. The group arrive in Huecamundo, high up in the air, because as usual, you can't expect an easy trip by flying Air Urahara. Orihime can't sense any life force in the area, and Pesce confirms that there wouldn't be, because these guys are literally scorched earth. These adversaries emit concentrated reishi flames that can burn things that normally wouldn't burn. Even the rocks and sands are consumed by it. Eesh. The group sees nothing but death and destruction all around them. Ichigo tries to shield Nell's eyes from the sight of it. What a nice older brother type he is. Dondachaka doesn't seem to be in the group that was sent nearby, but Ichigo says they should go save that other group anyway, because that's what he'd do. And Kisuke points out the irony of Ichigo rushing to save Arrancar, who previously were his worst enemies, and Chad replies Ichigo's not the type of guy to kick back and do nothing. It's just the kind of guy he is. Now the Arrancars are getting rounded up and then lined up for a selection process overseen by Quilge. That's the best I can offer on that pronunciation. And this guy, well, yeah, he's a Nazi.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's goose-stepping his way through the episode.
And I must say,
the parallels are
awful.
pretty in your face.
It's awful to witness, but also he's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. He actually is.
Loli and Manoli previous aides of Aizen show some guts, so he tells his guys to take them to Yawatch, because anybody who showed any guts gets taken. Whereas anybody who just kind of weakishly volunteers, oh, I want to join, please don't hurt me, you die. If you say nothing, you get stabbed. And if you survive, then maybe you're allowed to do the entrance exam. Like, ugh, such barbaric methods. Even his two guys are like, you think he's actually going to let any of them live? And he's musing about how these girls being Aizen's aides must mean that Aizen wasn't such a big deal after all. Oof. And just as he's saying that, Hollybell's Angels, Tres Bestia, comprised of Milo Rose, Sun Sun, and Apache, attempt to fight back, and they cut through a lot of enemies. Quilge implores them to surrender and submit and serve under his majesty, because they will never know true happiness until they do.
Ugh.
And then he proceeds to get very upset when they turn him down. In Soul Society, the squads assemble to hear Akon's report, and Kurutsi G points out what we already knew. The rebel army are in fact Quincy's. Cut back to Hueco Mundo, Ichigo and Nell stare down Quilge, who has made quick work of Tres Bestia. And it looks like in the next episode, they will fight!
Where the hell did all of these Quincy come from?
Good question.
That is a very good question.
We don't know the answer yet.
I'm so lost. I'm stuck in like Zanpakuto hell right now with my own Bleach watch, and I'm like, what? I thought Quincy. Where the fuck did all these Quincy come from, and why are they all murderous Nazi bastards? Is Urio know about this? Does his father know? Like, I don't understand what's happening. Why are they so evil? Someone explain
I feel
it
like
to me.
Uryu doesn't know about these guys, but he does know that they are dangerous. Because everybody's pointing out they have the ability to extinguish souls completely. Which, yeah, that's pretty
Just
dangerous.
a
So
question
that's-
to you, Sketch. Did you read any of the manga?
I didn't read much of the manga. I've watched a lot of Bleach, but not all of it.
Okay.
Laser did. It's too bad he's not here to ask him.
Yeah.
So then my other point, one of the things that happened early at the beginning of the episode when Yuak, was slaughtering his people, one of the guys pointed out, about how the three worlds would be destabilized because of the way the Quincy's operate, and he didn't respond to that. So like he knows this is a possibility. Is that your goal? Do you just want to cause the worlds to destabilize? He wants to rule, but like if you're ruling over chaos, if you're ruling over a crumbling universe, then you're not ruling over anything. So like what is he just not Does he just not acknowledge that that's true? Does he not believe it? I didn't understand that.
Oh, yeah, he's totally fake news. Not gonna happen. My way is the path to peace.
Boy, that's
I feel like
familiar.
that's a pretty major fact you have to address in your quest for world domination. Like, hey, does your actual method actually completely destabilize existence as we know it? If
It
you
might.
eliminate every single hollow, if you slaughter them all, then where will we be? I'm just confused.
Yeah, I
I'm
feel
very
like that's
confused.
a very Tite Kubo issue, is that it takes a while for him to actually like explain this shit.
Yeah, I believe that it'll come. It was just such a dark thing. It was so dark to be thrown into this. I was like, whoa, there's a lot of hate here, and I'm upset. I didn't expect that because the last, couple things I've seen from Bleach, like it's a little bit more even keeled. It's not like as Nazi-ish, if you will.
Oh yeah. I don't know what happened, but one day Tite Kubo woke up and said, How about we make these basically Nazi characters?
Yeah.
Hmm. It was already kind of a sticking point that the Quincy's were like the the representation of Catholicism or Christianity within the Bleach universe. So, yeah. Or maybe it was Judaism. That sounds more right. Anyway, yeah, wait. Jewish Nazis? Is he brilliant or insane? Oh, I better look up where these allegories are going. I don't want to talk out
She
of
doesn't
turn.
look Jewish.
No. Oh, no. Yeah. Paul, what did you think of the first 2 episodes of this season of Bleach?
Oh, Bleach is back. I think I've said it. No, I'm kidding. I mean, there's not really much to say so far.
Yeah, it's mostly set up so far.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just me, but like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the animation. Like, can they just go back to the other animation? Like, I don't know.
Wow, really? That is not a criticism I commonly see associated with this season.
Well, you look at the animation from the original series, and then you look at this animation. You're like, I mean, it's not bad. I don't want anybody to be like, oh my god, Paul thinks this is bad. No, and it never. It's not going to take away the series for me, but it's like, I don't know. It feels a little bit darker. It feels a little bit more.
Well, it is darker.
Yeah,
It's more
I do think
dynamic.
yeah, I mean, this is obviously like a higher quality than what Herat has been known for like Bleach, because Bleach could be inconsistent because they kept on pumping those out for like 366 weeks. So
Yep.
this time it's a lot more of, we are sectioning this down. We are going to focus in on a specific part for how many episodes that is. And then we will break and then go back to it more over a course of a year or so.
The one thing, I guess, because this is just all set up, I kind of want to say the one thing that I'd like to see, and maybe people that have seen this already know, and I don't want you to tell me, but obviously the original series ended where, you know, Ichigo had lost his Soul Reaper powers, and you know, then he lost his other powers, and then, you know, they eventually gave it to they. God, I can't speak tonight. They
got him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got him back by all the other Soul Reapers giving some of their power, basically. Which was
All
great.
right, that did happen.
Oh, see, I remember the original Bleach. But I would love to know if he still has the oh god, I want to say Arankar part of himself, but that's not the right word I'm looking for.
His hollowification
Hollow,
power.
yeah.
Hollowification.
Hollow
There you go.
form.
Thank you, Kuro.
Well, I'm pretty sure it showed up in the opening sequence.
I mean, I think he has it as part of his Bankai now, because you can see it on his when he goes and uses Bankai, you can see it like on his arm, especially, but you don't see the mask anymore. So I'm just curious to see if the mask shows up again, or if it's just all in. Which, by the way, if that's the way it is, that's great. So I also the one thing that, looking at episode 1 more than episode 2, I'm wondering why they sent somebody to target Ichigo. It was like, okay, so we went into the Soul Society to send a message that, by the way, we're gonna fight, we're gonna have a war, oh, and we can slip in whenever we want, basically. And then over here on the other side, it's like, oh, we're gonna go after Ichigo. So I'm interested to see why they went after him in particular. I mean, obviously he's a strong Soul Reaper, but was there a different reason why they went after him? Like, I'm gonna be interested to see that. Also, why did that round device that was supposed to, I guess, take Bankai away from a Soul Reaper, why that didn't work on Ichigo? So that'll be interesting to find out as well. So, yeah, I think that's my thoughts for right now.
All right. Steven, what do you think so far?
It's fun. That's about it. Seeing the first 2 episodes, it's not that much exposition on it to go into it without anything else from the side of it. But like Paul said, Bleach is back. It feels at home on Toonami. I do want to know where it goes. I'm not going to investigate it as much that I would do with like Lazarus or anywhere else, but I would. I want to see where it goes. Where does it take us? Does the story fit it? As with the enemies, that One Piece captain who's leading the Quincy's. That's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But I mean, we kind of know how it goes. I mean, unless Ichigo doesn't beat him, but we kind of know which way it goes. It's just a question of how he does it instead of when he will do it.
Kuro, what did you think of this episode?
It's just so upsetting. It's so dark. Like I said, I'm confused about a lot of these things. Not, I'm assuming obviously these are plot elements that will be filled in, but it's just when I see something so blatantly contrary to common sense, I'm like, why? What are you doing? Why are you so hateful? I'm guessing, with this Quincy army, I feel like, having them goose stepping through the episode very deliberately, it takes away any ambiguity that we might have thought about what role the Quincy's overall play in this world. So, because we have 2 examples of allies, Uriel and his father, and now it's just like they have this, like, oh, that's why they were eliminated before. So, it's interesting. I'm really concerned for Ichigo. I don't think he's in any way prepared to handle any of this at all. He's definitely not equipped for this. He's going to be overwhelmed. He's going to be completely overwhelmed.
Half-cocked.
Yeah. He's going to be overwhelmed. He doesn't even have enough allies, and it's going to get ugly fast.
Yep.
Yeah. Darkest Days. Darkest Days Bleach.
This arc is dark. It's already quite dark. There's a lot of killing, a lot of slaughtering. It's even for a show like Bleach where people die pretty casually all the time. Yikes.
Yeah.
Plus they're double dead because, the Quincy's can eradicate a soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big stakes here. Very big stakes. Besides the fact that if they eliminate enough souls, it's gonna completely cause chaos.
Yeah, I will say that I do think that the show. I understand that this is a continuation of the original series, but for newcomers who are just jumping on board with this, which I would assume is a fair amount of people, it would be nice to get caught up with what the series is about beforehand, because this is continuing the manga.
Yeah, I would recommend that. For the most part. I mean, you gotta have at least a grasp of various terminology and kind of understand what everybody's deal is.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean you have to see all 366 episodes, but
Oh, you don't have to do that.
I'm still trying anyway.
Well, there
Or-
is some
or y-
filler, so you can kind of skip over some of that filler.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
realize that. Now
certainly.
I'm in the middle of it, so I'm gonna finish it. Damn it!
The only filler
I'm literally in the worst filler arc too. Like I am very forgiving about filler, but
Aren't
this
you
one
in
is
the Sword
atrocious.
Beast arc?
I'm in the Zanpakuto rebellion arc, and it's really bad. It's so bad.
I don't
It's
know.
so
I thought
bad.
that
I like
one was
that
pretty
one.
amusing.
Yeah,
It
that one I
doesn't-
actually liked. I did like that one.
I don't like it at all. It makes no sense. It defies a lot of world logic, and it's just infuriating to me. I'm watching it. I put it on 1.5 speed so that I can go through it faster.
There's some
Which
good-
incidentally
there's
makes it
some-
more entertaining.
There is some good episodes in that arc, though. I will say there are some good episodes in there.
Yeah, I haven't
There's-
seen one of them.
I
But
agree.
in earlier on in Bleach, there's some filler that you're kind of just like, can we just move on, please?
Yeah,
This is getting,
basically.
this is getting painful. That one wasn't one of them. So I was glad that at least some kind of filler was good. But
I remember
that-
disliking the
mm,
bounce
don't-
arc.
Understand
okay.
what you guys are talking about. This is such a poorly written arc. You could have to be crazy to have liked this. Their weapons literally take on minds of their own and are rebelling against them, and then it turns out to be for nothing. Like this makes no fucking sense. It is
But
I don't
so
know. If
insanely
I was one of their
stupid.
weapons, I'd probably rebel against them too.
But
Yeah,
like they're
exactly.
weapons. They're part of their soul. Like they can't physically take on that role. Like it doesn't make sense. Ugh, it makes me so angry. I don't
but
understand
it-
how anyone could enjoy this.
But by defeating them, they actually made themselves stronger and gained more power as a result. So it actually was useful in a way.
Except that it wasn't in the story, so it's turns out to be just nothing. It's a big fat nothing.
Carl, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go get you some wine. Okay, it'll make you feel better.
Ugh. It's so bad. It's so bad. You know, if I'm telling you it's bad, like that's bad because I am the one that likes everything, and I don't like this.
Mm.
Did-
Mm.
Please tell me you
And-
didn't like the flare.
And
earlier
now
on
I
in
can
Bleach.
I mean I can't remember every single arc because it took me a little while to figure out that when they interrupted in the middle of a story, that was filler. That seems to be the Bleach go-to. So then once I realized what
Oh,
was
I hate that.
happening, I was like,
is
oh,
very
okay.
atrocious.
Oh, so we're stopping the story here. Oh, that must be that this is a filler. So I had no strong feelings up until this one about the filler before, except that the timing is bad. The timing is
Oh, I-
atrocious. But
I
the
had
fillers
weird-
weren't bothering me until then. Now this one's just badly written. It's a bad story. And I wish Laser were here so he could agree with me.
I mean, I don't know what anybody else
you
thinks,
sure
but
he'd
I
agree with you?
really,
It's been like over 10 years. I don't remember anything about
I
Bleach.
really, I, I, I really hated it when they would do that too in Bleach, where they would be like,
Yeah.
you
Mm.
get
Oh,
to
we're
a
in the
really
middle of
good
an
part.
important arc. By the way, we're skipping to like some fillers so we can wait for the manga to get ahead.
It's
Some
It's pretty
blonde
egregious.
girl running around, and I'm just like, why is this girl running around? Can we go back to what we were just in, please? Oh my god, just kill me and get me to this next scene, please. Oh my god, I remember that. That was painful. It was more painful than Naruto in some cases.
Oh
my-
man, that was like a big question. It's like, what's more painful to sit through, Shippuden filler or Bleach filler?
No, Bleach. In the earlier parts. I mean, how do you go from you're in like the thick of the action, you're like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next episode. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Why is this blonde girl running around complaining half the time? Oh
We've
my
already
god.
had this
shut up.
conversation, but you guys weren't here for it, so.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
Oh my god. Oh,
We did last
oh,
week.
Let's not have this conversation because I'll be here all night. Oh
Yeah. So right, my thoughts.
It's-
Bleach.
Yeah.
that's what it does. That's
Bleach
what
is
Bleach,
back.
That's what
Bleach
Bleach
is
filler
back.
does.
I do. I do like that Ichigo doesn't let old business hamper his personal integrity. It's like, hey, we may have been enemies before, but now you need help, and I can help you. I like that about him. That's good. I like that. Is he jumping into something he probably can't handle? Probably. We'll see. We'll see. He's the main character. He'll figure it out. Probably. But this, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't really read the manga, so I can't really speak to the pacing of this. But this seems to be moving really quick.
Yep.
Like really quick. It just keeps jumping around. All kinds of stuff are happening. Maybe you could slow your roll a little bit, Bleach, so I can, not have to write so many notes.
I mean, it's a long arc. It's the final arc of the manga, but it's a very, very dense and long arc. So I think it makes sense to condense parts of it down.
Yeah, true. Did you really have to take out those girls off screen, though? I feel like we missed a good fight.
Yeah, it's fair.
Oh, well. Those... I like how Nell is grabbing... Nell appears on Ichiko's head. He's like, wait, what are you doing there now? And then she's yelling a bunch of stuff, and she's got her hands over his eyes. Like, I can't see where I'm going. But she's talking about how Trace Bestia are, like, the big bads of Hollybell's group, and they're, like, really backstabby, always trying to one-up each other. And we see just a moment how that plays out, and it's pretty amusing. But it's all over so briefly. Also, that one girl uses snot. That's, gross.
Yeah.
Like, what? Why? Yeah, I'm looking forward to Ichigo, giving this guy what he deserves. But I can't say that I don't enjoy his whole thing. He's pretty amusing. Like, I don't want to root for him, certainly, but he's just got that I'm so evil and so over the top, and I have truly drank the Kool-Aid. Like he really believes what he's saying. One of those. And as I was watching this episode with Duelist, it was like, hey, so what do you want to do now? It's like, I don't know. I feel like watching Hellsing Abridged for no apparent reason. And we didn't. We just called it a night. But yeah, it was just a delightful performance for a really awful guy. Like, geez, really awful. And I do look forward to seeing what happens next.
Yeah,
but
same here.
There's really nothing much else to say. Let's move on to the second episode of the Kyoto Saga of Blue Exorcist.
Yeah, something a little less depressing. We get to start off with our favorite character ever in all of Toonami, forever and ever, Kuro, on Rin's
A lot of
shoulder.
Kuro in this episode,
Yes.
and I'm all
Yeah.
for it.
Yes, so am I. Anyway, the kids disembark at Kyoto Station, ignoring Rin, as Kuro is the only one excited to see the tower mentioned in the first episode that Rin was excited about. Poor Rin. And they are greeted by a dour-faced monk who looks suspiciously Shima-ish. We learn that this is Kinzo, who is our own Renzo Shima's big brother. And he plays tour guide as the bus transports the exorcist to the inn they're staying at, embarrassing his younger brother, because that's what you do when you're family. You embarrass your family. And Kuro's watching excitedly out the window, while poor Rin looks downtrodden at none of his friends want to talk to him still. The monks are excited to see Ryuji, and I notice, we heard his friends do this in the first season. They call him Bon, but now it's pretty apparent throughout the entire episode. Everybody at the temple calls Ryuji Bon, so it's it's this affectionate nickname from childhood that we never get an explanation for, but just noting, so people don't get confused. Bon is Ryuji. Ryuji is his name, and I'm going to refer to him as Ryuji. His mother greets him, and she admonishes him for the hair dye, of course, saying he looks like a rooster, which I have to agree. It's a pretty stupid look, Ryuji. Come on. But he's like, it motivates me. And Rin's kind of surprised because he expected her to be angry and vicious like Ryuji, but she's actually kind of sweet, aside from her grabbing her son by the hair and shaking him. And he asks about, them living, assuming that they lived at a temple, and she says, well, the temple's no longer the family home, but because Ryuji's mother inherited that inn that they are staying at, this is where everybody lives now. And they keep the inn. Shura leaves the doctors to take care of the wounded from the previous attack and gives the three boys leave to spend time with their family as well. The exorcists then have the girls, an exorcist then has the girls help the sick, and Rin goes to assist but is pulled back for some unknown reason and is told, go pick up stuff. So he goes to find things to pick up, like trash. Shima's dad apparently has been pretty seriously injured, and we learn that he is the field office chief. So essentially the representative of the True Cross Exorcist for the Kyoto branch. And Ryuji is relieved to hear that no one actually died. They were just injured. Then Shima's dad gives him crap for his own wacky hair dye. So apparently it's a trend amongst the boys. And we learn that Ryuji is harboring some resentment with his own father early on. And that is the theme of this episode. Rin, meanwhile, is wandering around looking for stuff to do, and he's pulled aside by a jolly-looking monk who asks him to help slice watermelon. And then Kuro points out he smells like he's been drinking, which Rin asks him about, and he's like, yeah, well, it's hot, so I had a couple. And he realizes that this character reminds him of his own father, Father Fujimoto. When he introduces himself, the monk recognizes Rin's name, and he introduces himself as Ryuji's father, who also surprises Rin because, again, not an angry, crazy, intense guy like Ryuji. He reveals that Rin is bonding with Rin's father as they cut watermelon and, talking about Ryuji. And he reveals in a downtrodden manner that they've had a fight recently, and basically he's pretty difficult to be friends with, and the two of them commiserate with each other. Meanwhile, Shura visits the Deep Keep, where the other eye is kept, and asks about what she's been hearing about infighting, and it is confirmed that there has in fact been infighting amongst the temple exorcists, and this is important. So this isn't just gratuitous information. Everybody take note. And she checks on the eye. It's there, so that's good. Master Suguro leaves Rin by climbing over the roof. Okay. And Rin's just there holding watermelon. Anyone else get a craving for it while watching this? Because I sure did. Back inside the temple, an altercation breaks out between the Hojo sisters and Juzo, another Shima brother, when Ryuji interferes just before things are about to get violent, and he admonishes them for their infighting. But one of the Hojo sisters responds by jabbing at Ryuji about his father. When Juzo tries to defend Master Suguro, Ryuji just agrees that he sucks and storms off. Well, so much for family loyalty. And there's a flashback to his upbringing, and you see the kids and how Ryuji used to watch his father chant sutras, and he reflects on how much he admired his father. Meanwhile, we see Rin doing all the grunt work per the usual, and Shimi still isn't talking to him, which makes me very sad. Come on, Shimi. Come on. Let it go. Move on. gonna be okay. The boys go to bring Shura dinner, and she gives them the rest of the night off. When Ryuji asks permission to go to the mountain to visit his father, he's denied. But she says, "Here, have some juice to have with your dinner." Konokomaru then leaves, and so does Ryuji. And Rin is alone with Shima, who awkwardly tries to get away. But Rin, who's downed his, quote, juice and looking very flush, complains in a suspiciously tipsy manner that he doesn't want to hang out with him either. And he's scared of him just like everybody else. And so Shima ends up staying, but keeps his distance. And they have a little bit of an amusing back and forth where Rin, behaving in a drunken manner, accuses Shima of being lame and uncool. And Shima's like, "I'm not uncool." He's like, "Yes, you are. Here's a list of all the cool people, and you're not on it." He's like, "I'm below Kuro?" Damn straight you're below Kuro.
Of course.
Though I have an issue with the fact that Yukio's on that list.
Why isn't Kuro higher?
Yeah.
Kuro should be number 1.
Well, I understand Father Fujimoto being number 1, but Kuro should be number 2, and Yukio shouldn't be on the list. This is what matters here. But then, of course, with this back and forth, Shima's laughing, and he realizes that he's behaving normally around Rin, and it's actually easier than trying to avoid him. And why are they all being so silly? They should all just get over it. And Rin's like, "Yeah, should all just get over it," and passes out. Ryuji, meanwhile, still reflecting on his childhood and how he memorized sutras like his father. When the kids overhear some monks complain about the temple losing money, he runs up to them begging the monks not to leave and abandon the temple, but they reveal that Ryuji's father had given away their most sacred relic and that they can't follow him anymore. And Ryuji's very upset. But Juzo comes up and reassures him that no, it's going to be okay. Not everybody's going to leave. We have a plan. What's the plan? Well, in a meeting with all of the monks, Shima's father announces that the temple will affiliate henceforth with the Knights of the True Cross in order to sustain its existence, and that they will now be an annex, and everybody seems to agree. Ryuji runs after his father and asks him if they're all going to be exorcists now. But Master Suguro says, "No, I'm going to leave the other two to run the affairs." And it seems like he's ready to completely relinquish responsibility for the running of the temple in general and all of this business of fighting evil. So back to the present, Ryuji is speaking to one of the head monks, and he reveals to him that they suspect the burglar is actually an insider. And he asks if he'd spoken to his father about it, and loses his temper, demanding that his father be included in all of this business. In another flashback, Ryuji then had decided to become an exorcist, shares with his parents that he was going to True Cross Academy to study. And his father attempted to prevent him from doing this because he clearly wants a different life for him. But it all blows up. The two fight, and it ends very poorly. So, yeah, I think we understand a little bit more about the Suguro family. And as Ryuji starts to pass out, being affected by his own juice, we get a cut to Shura opening her beer and realizing, no, she doesn't have beer, she has juice. So I guess we know where her beer ended up.
That still doesn't make any sense. How did you not know that you gave beer to children?
I mean, none of this makes sense to me either, but anime logic, I
And
guess.
why were there 2 that had alcohol and only 1 that didn't? Well, I suppose there were more than just
I mean,
2.
I can definitely see her prioritizing getting beer over juice, and then them just being stupid and opening it and not realizing it, but I don't know. Who knows? Some beers can taste like juice, I guess.
That still doesn't make sense, but whatever.
No, it doesn't. I'm not
It's a
even gonna
cartoon,
try
cartoon
and logic
logic,
that.
whatever.
It
Yeah.
could be wine coolers, but
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. She definitely strikes me as a wine cooler drinker.
oh yeah, for sure.
Well, Shima carries a semi-passed out Rin back to the inn, who is dreaming about his father and brother in better times, while Yukio in real time is arriving in the van with the other team of exorcists to a location that's tracked by a demon. When they break into a car, they discover it is completely infected by miasma. And Toto stands atop a tower in the distance and says and does some villainy things.
Yeah, he's talking to somebody on the phone,
Yes.
saying it doesn't matter if we don't have both eyes. And it looks like he has one of the eyes in his eye socket.
Yeah. It's a very character driven episode, but it sets up a lot for what is coming, I promise. So I want to start with you, Sketch. What did you think? I know, like the last one, it was a lot of like bridging between, where we were and where we're going to be in this one. But now we're sort of getting into the story a little bit. What did you think about all the drama with the temple?
I like this world building. I think the characters are very interesting. The infighting is clearly going somewhere. There's some fun characters in the mix. I really like Ryuji's dad. I think he's pretty great, even though
Yeah.
a lot of people don't think so. I think he's got something going on.
Yep.
Good broadening of the cast and getting to see the families of some characters that we already know. That's great. I love that. I love that the kids are getting scolded for dyeing their hair, like acknowledging that that's a weird hair color. There's only one rooster on Toonami Ryuji, and his name doesn't matter. We call him Rooster.
Hmm.
Don't make me laugh. I'll start coughing.
Bartolomeo. So yeah, this is good. I like where this is going. This is fun, interesting
Yeah.
stuff. We're getting somewhere.
I don't normally do this, but I want to point out, because sometimes people get like, when it gets exposition heavy, they're a bit like, why? Or if it gets character heavy, they're, I think Toonami viewers want to see action. Having watched this whole season and going back now, everything contributes to something as part of the overall story. It's all important, for lack of a better word. Like it, like not like, this one clue being this one thing, not one to one, but it builds up a narrative that makes sense to how the overall story plays out. It's all important. And and I have to say, going back and rewatching this now, they did a really nice job of having everything flow. Like everything in this episode, it's not too fast, not too slow. It's all paced very well, and it all makes sense to me. So it's an interesting perspective for I guess I'm the only one here right now that this is the second watch for, which is unusual. Normally that's not the case. So
I find it interesting that Shima was the first one to crack. It does suit his personality that he'd be the first one to be like, whatever. But him being the first one to, kind of see bygones with Rin that's interesting, because they don't get paired up much. He does make kind of a comment. It's like, oh, we're just joking like the old times. I was like, but did you? Not really. You guys were always just kind of your trio, and Rin wasn't really a part of it. But I find that interesting. I also, what was it? Well, I do like in the original. I shouldn't say original, but like in the anime only story, they arguably get over it pretty fast, and that's not natural. So we're seeing the natural progression of them coming to terms with everything. And I think that's that's good. That's a good trajectory. And it's just lots of good character moments in this episode, and extra Kuro. Always I love Kuro. It's a shame nobody wants this watermelon. and
Such a
and all
camp
of
thing to
that.
do.
And they're trying to go for the food and all of that. Oh, and the other thing was, it's hard to judge where these kids are on power levels, but the fact that Ryuji could stop two of the others' attacks, whoa.
Where was this in season 1?
This guy's got talent, actually.
I think it's more about I mean he was there at the right timing. I saw it more about him just having the ranking, family wise to be able to step in.
Yes, he does clearly still have the ranking despite his father stepping down.
Yeah.
And while I do respect his father for wanting a different life for Ryuji, his father should also acknowledge what Ryuji wants.
That was an ugly fight. That was ugly.
Mm-hmm.
It was. And, Ryuji's just really mad that people are looking down on his dad. That's my dad. How dare you say that? I get that. That's legit. But it's just a shame that the two of them are fighting because of it. That's just the saddest thing.
It is also, I think, important to note, Ryuji's preoccupation with his father is a big hindrance to him right now, because he came into this situation, it's a crisis, and he had an opportunity for leadership, and he's being stubborn about what role his father plays in it instead of stepping up and taking on that role himself, to the point where a monk comes up to him and tells him some pretty dire news that they think they have a traitor. And his response is, "But what about my dad?" I mean, he's a teenager, so of course you expect some level of immaturity, but it's like he can't see the forest for the trees in that moment. That's a pretty big thing to overlook. He, instead of focusing on the potential traitor and trying to suss that out, it's more important for him to try to force his father back into this role that his father doesn't want. That's all that family baggage, man. It gets in the way. So, for such a he's such a talented exorcist, he's getting in his own way.
And just as a bit of levity, I enjoyed Rin's impression of Ryuji's parents just crumbling right in front of us.
Yeah.
Also,
He's like, I thought they looked
how did Ryuji's dad bag his wife, man? He must be very fun at parties.
Yeah. Sam, how do you like being at Temple Kyoto?
Well, from rewatching season 1 and then getting to the bad parts of season 1 with all the anime only stuff, it's very nice to finally come back to saying, oh yeah, this is a really good. It's what I like to see from Blue Exorcist, is about expanding on these characters more and learning more about their backstories, but also giving a lot more heart to it. Because that was the thing that I really dug about Blue Exorcist season 1, is that there was a lot of heart with family and all this ties with all that. So I really enjoyed the whole family stuff with Ryuji. It's actually a very well written episode too. I thought it was very well done, how they give these characters more to do, basically.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid assessment. Steven, how are you feeling about how things are progressing? I know you have strong feelings about the friendships not resolving after the demonic reveal about Rin, so.
I still have issues with that I'm still kind of trying to come to terms with. I do want to say this is a refreshing episode from the troubles that the teams have been on. So it feels like things toned down for a bit. So you didn't have that much stress, and you could learn a little bit more about the characters. But I mean, we already knew about Ryuji that he was a hothead. It's like, why? Maybe that's what we want to know, but we still kind of didn't know it. We still don't know it. He has some type of issue with his father that his father's not going to talk about because he's avoiding him. He just jumps
Mhm.
over fences and gets drunk. It's like, oh, okay, that's good. I mean, you're abandoning your kid when your kid needs you. That's some other issues. But looking at that, it is cool to see a different cast of characters than what we've been used to. Instead of having Miss Fisto pop up every so often, and
Mhm.
Hamtaro, and it,
Sorry.
it,
You're talking about the Amaimon hamster. I
yeah,
got
yeah.
It's funny. It's funny.
It it it's really fun to see. Just like so many priestesses in all of their like traditional garb in uniforms, just helping and doing this in this world. So I am
Yeah.
glad we've seen that. A second thing with it is Kuro does need watermelon. Why didn't they give any watermelon to Kuro?
I know.
Kuro needed it. It
He deserved
showed.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's like a little bit of fan service. They should have just showed it, like you're eating it or something. Who knows? I don't know what they're doing with that. Um, it's a refreshing episode. This one, it does take a break from the action, which is okay. I mean, sometimes you do. Exposition wise, did we really need it? Not much. I mean, the beach episode with the squid had more like emotional
The
tied
Kraken,
to
the
it.
filler
Yeah.
Kraken episode.
Yeah, that had a more emotional tie, I guess, to me than this one. This one is just like, oh, why is Ryuji mad all the time? We still didn't solve it,
It's building up the bricks to explain what comes. It's
and they
laying a
s-
foundation.
and they still don't like Rin for some reason. I mean, I
Yeah,
I
that's
get
annoying. Yeah.
I get that he's the son of Satan, but even the father is like, "Oh, you're that guy. Oh, okay then."
Yeah.
He even let it go, like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you weren't in control of that." But the kids can't understand that. But
Yeah,
I
that's
don't,
one thing where
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. maybe
And then
maybe it,
Shimi's not even talking to him, just like gives him the side eye the whole time. It's like,
it's
oh,
like
she's just
so
washing
weird
dishes,
too,
like,
because like it was Rin who like stood up for Shiemi too, but
yeah.
whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah. I want to point out some ongoing plot points just to keep track of. Obviously, the conflict between Ryuji and his father is an important one. I think the what Shura pointed out about the infighting, that's an interesting plot point that they brought up in this episode. The potential traitor, following that, tracking the traitor, that's another potential plot point. So they left some threads dangling here, and then of course the ending where we see Toto with the eye embedded in his own eye, and whichever ally he's talking to. So there's some threads, and they really did a nice job in embedding them into the episode to say, like, there's still an ongoing darker plot happening here that we need to be on top of, and how the story's going to build on that. So yeah, I was happy with this. Happy to see more Kuro. I'm really, really glad that they're incorporating the best character, of course. I was going to ask Paul, but I don't think Paul's watched this episode, so, you know,
Hmm.
I don't really have anything to add, Paul. Unless you've
No, I
watched
don't
it.
have anything to add to this, other
Yeah.
than I'm glad that season 2 is finally on Toonami.
Yeah,
Yeah, you should
I wish
actually
it would
watch
have.
it.
I wish it would have came on in 2017 when it was new, but I mean, like better late than never.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
when
well,
that's when the evil empire started to slowly seep its
Well,
way
that
into
was
anime.
Well, that had
that.
nothing to do with that. That was
Yeah,
just
because
Hulu going in ours.
yep, because Hulu was independent at that time. I think Disney had a small stake into it. I think the majority was still Fox, though.
Mm.
Well, cool.
Yep. All right. Solid building foundations for this story arc, I think. It's going places.
It is. I'm excited. I'm excited to see everybody react to it too.
Yeah, this will be my first time watching it. I have never seen this season, so I know nothing about it.
Yeah, it's good. Take my word for it.
We always trust Kuro.
Yes, as you should. Well, I think it's some time for some house cleaning. What do you think?
Certainly. You can email us at podcast@toonamifaithful.com, and you can follow us on facebook.com/toonamifaithfulpodcast and on Twitter @toonamipodcast. You can listen to the podcast on just about everything, including Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Podbay, Podbean, Podcast Addict, Radio.com, Spotify, and the TuneIn app. And you can also find every episode of the podcast to stream online where they found the files on Lazarus, SoundCloud.com/ToonamiFaithfulPodcast. You can get the latest news by following @ToonamiFaithful.com on Blue Sky and @Toonami News on Twitter. And read the news, views, and reviews on ToonamiFaithful.com, such as Yumiko's continuing recaps of Lazarus every week. You should definitely be reading those. Sam, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at ToonamiSquad.com. I'm currently writing up a Blue Exorcist Toonami throwback, so I don't know when that'll be done, but I'm working on it. Outside of that, you can follow me on Blue Sky at SZ Universe.
Okay. Steven, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at MXAGhost on like every single platform. Otherwise, you can find me and Brittany live tweeting all of Toonami this Saturday, starting at 12 a.m. Eastern.
All right. Kuro, tell the folks where they can find you.
I'm on Blue Sky and on Twitter at HappyKuroKitty. And other, I guess, on the website. You can find me on the website. And here, comment.
Mm-hmm. And Paul, where can they find you?
Playing the zombie in the middle of a drive-in. But anyways, yes. So you can find me on social media. Basically, look for Paul Pascrillo on Blue Sky, on Twitter or X or whatever the hell you call it these days. And yeah, you can search for me on Instagram too, because I'm starting to use that again. So yeah,
we
that's where
don't
you
talk
can find
about X. We don't talk about Elon.
I'm gonna take your Mountain Dew away if you do that again.
It's already gone, so you can't take it. And you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky, Sketch1984. Yeah. And Laser couldn't join us this week, but he's coming up on the 50th episode of Simuldub Saints, so be on the lookout for that. I think some of our regulars will be popping up on that one. Should be a good time. Good time for all. So, thank you for listening to this episode of the Toonami Faithful Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Maybe share it with your friends if you think they'd be interested. And until next time, family. Am I right?
Family. And insert Fast and Furious gif here.
I was gonna say, okay, Vin Diesel. Or is it Sketch Diesel?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's actually pretty good.
Family is the greatest adventure.
That was not as good.
Yeah.
It fell off at the end there.
It fell
You
off.
sound more like an Italian mobster.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about family.